If you're thinking about moving to Gig Harbor for that boating lifestyle, you'll need to watch this before you make your move. I've seen people fall in love with a home and then get under contract and then find out there is nowhere to put their boat. Because what people imagine and what really happens are two different things. And when boating's a part of your lifestyle, this is not a small issue, this is a large issue. So today I'm going to walk you through not only where you can find dock space, where the homes are that are great that have docks, and then also the best way to get onto these wait lists and how to do it as you're buying a home to make sure that we strategize properly so that you don't go into contract first and then have this uh-oh moment. So people really imagine they're going to walk outside, jump on their boat, maybe have a cup of coffee, the sun's rising, and then be able to take their boat in and out whenever they want. And yes, that part is real. But what people don't really think about are those moorage wait lists. Permits for being able to get a dock, having a dock replaced, which is kind of in those high six figures, hauling your boat out every year to have the bottom painted, and how long the wait lists are to get even moorage in Gig Harbor. So I've lived here for over 30 years. I am a boat owner. I do have my boat in downtown Gig Harbor. I've navigated the marinas. I've navigated going from wait lists, what type of marinas are better or not. So not just as a realtor am I giving this information, I'm also giving it as a boat owner. So in this video, I'm gonna break down what marinas maybe you should look at finding moorage, what the wait list might look like to you, the neighborhoods in our community that have homes with docks in it, and then some of the costs, the pros and the cons of being a boat owner here and why I still do it and I'm in love with Gig Harbor and boating. Many people don't think about that the length of the boat really matters here when we're looking at moorage. So if you're looking at under 30 feet, typically those spots come up a lot more frequently than those that are 30 foot and above. So if you have a smaller boat, not as much of a problem, but as we get into those larger boat sizes, those are definitely wait list items. The things also to think about in our docks here in Gig Harbor is you either have covered or uncovered. So for me, as a boater, we started first uncovered, and that was a huge learning lesson for me. So as an uncovered spot, not only because of the rain, I was starting to have canvas problems. We were having somebody come out and deal with mold issues on the inside of it because it's so damp here in Washington and you're in an outside space. That canvas on a lot of the boats is becoming quite a bit of a problem, and we had to treat it constantly. We had leaking issues. So once we found out that we should probably get on a wait list for the covered spot, we did that immediately and ended up changing over to a different marina. So what many people do that cannot get in Gig Harbor at first is they'll start in Tacoma and they'll get on the wait list in Gig Harbor. So there's a few marinas that are more on like the Foss Waterway that are a little bit easier to get into. They'll start there. Most likely they might be able to find something that's covered. They're a bit tighter spots, but they'll start there. And then as soon as something opens up in Gig Harbor, they'll transfer their boat over. Some of the other things to maybe ask at the marina is if there's anyone in there that's having a spot that they've not used and they're open to allowing you to use it for a short period of time. So for me, when we decided not to have a boat for a bit of time, it was a big decision to actually keep our spot, our marina spot, because I knew that once we gave it up, we'd be back on a wait list. So we had an empty spot. We'd allow people to maybe come in and use it on the weekends. Some marinas even allow you to kind of it's called boat Airbnb. So you could put it up to kind of rent, where in the summer that can be pretty lucrative. So let's start with the part that no one talks about. So the biggest part of people moving here is not access to the water, it's the logistics. So in Gig Harbor, slips are in high demand. There's not a whole lot of them, and the wait lists are extremely long. Okay, let's start with Gig Harbor Marina and Boatyard. So this is a great one. The reason that people love it is it's a full service marina. Not only do they have covered and uncovered slips, they also have full maintenance. So each year when you're wanting to have your boat pulled out, they have a crane there. They have their own maintenance team. Really great one, but getting into that slip is difficult. So the next one is Arabella's Marina. This one is more of like a boutique feel. Definitely smaller, not a lot of slips, and another one that, you're maybe up to a year on a wait list. All right, then we've got the Gig Harbor Yacht Club. So yes, we've got a yacht club here in Gig Harbor. It's not actually the main building on the water. It's right up the street from it. But they do have moorage. But for those that are wanting that, you do need to be a member. So there's lots of options out there. It's just a matter of knowing waitlist times and doing this prior to your move. So let's go ahead and talk about costs. Typically, you're looking at $12 to $18 per square foot per month. So like a 30-foot boat is probably around $500 a month. If you're looking at a 40-foot boat, we're probably around $700. And what's not included in this is the electricity, the utilities on this. And if you're wanting to do a live aboard, that's even more. Depending on boat size, that's where the wait lists get crazy. You could be up to 3 years waiting on a wait list. The smaller boat sizes and slips under 40 feet, they move a little bit faster, so you'll be able to see something open up. But when we're looking at those larger slip sizes, the wait lists are long. If you're just even considering moving to Gig Harbor, I highly suggest get on a wait list. Reach out to me. I can help you with that. Find something, get on a wait list. Typically, they'll just have you do a deposit, and that way, at least you know you're in play. So now let's talk about the option that everyone wants, homes with a dock. The dream is simple. You get to wake up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, jump on your boat. Well, the prices here vary dramatically for a home with a dock. Okay, so finding a home with a dock is like a golden standard for very serious buyers. They want to have confirmation that they for sure are going to have space for their boat. Their boat is a non-negotiable. So I'll go into a little bit of some of the locations here that are best to start looking, maybe some of the things that might come up with these docks as well. So when you're buying a home with a dock, you are buying control pretty much. There's no wait list. There's no trying to see what comes up in the future. You have full control over where your boat is all time of the year. So homes that have a dock tend to hold their demand over a long period of time. So that is a really great part about looking at maybe buying a home with a dock versus finding moorage. These homes are hard to get. They, especially the private docks, they tend to hold their value, if not go up quite a bit year over year. When we look at this, you can always build more houses, but you can't build more shoreline. So when I have somebody that's relocating and they reach out to me and they say, hey, I am a serious boater, and they start to tell me all about the home style they like, I say, here's the deal. The first thing that we should look at is let's look at the docks. And then if the home is a good fit, let's go look at it. The dock is a lot harder to find that's not had a lot of wear and tear, that's in great condition. So I typically will pull the listings and first look at the dock and what quality it is, and then tell them secondary, this home is actually, those things we can change. You can upgrade the home, you can change the interior, but the dock is definitely the more difficult situation. So what most people don't think about when they're buying a home with a dock is that if something goes wrong and they have to get permits, our environmental regulations here are extremely strict. We have a lot of rules because of salmon, wildlife, also because a lot of the homes here sit on septic systems. So the septic towards the shoreline makes a big difference. So there's many regulations, and the timeline for getting a permit can be extremely long. So let me simplify this. If you are a serious boater, then the dock needs to come first, the house second. Adding a dock to a home in Gig Harbor is not an easy process. It typically takes city, state, and federal approval of the permit. First, they'll be looking at a design review of your dock. Then they're going to be looking at the setbacks from the home and the water line to that dock. They'll also be looking at if you're trying to put an over coverage over the dock as well, that also will require a permit. And some of these waterfront properties are just not even capable of having this. So make sure that you have that approved before you put that contract in place. Okay, the other thing you want to look at here is making sure you understand the tie line area and who owns that. A lot of people assume because it says waterfront property that when they buy this home, they own the waterfront. That in Washington is not always true. So as an agent, when I have clients come in, that's the first thing that I'm going to look at is who truly owns that area and how far out does it go, and it is dictated by the tide. So many cases up here, a lot of the Indian reservations own some of this area or they have the rights to it. So we want to make sure that you're even capable of putting a dock in that space. So you may not know this part as well. They look at the habitat as well design here. We have quite a bit of salmon. That's what Washington is known for. We've got some great seafood. But there's also areas that have a salmon run, and then you're not going to be able to use that space, or a fish spawning area that's going to be regulated as not able to build in that area. So once you have that habitat reviewed, approved, then you can move forward to the next step. Then we're going to deal with the Department of Ecology. Sometimes they may be asking you to plant more vegetation in that area. If there's a seawall, they might say, hey, that needs to be taken out right there. There's many things and guidelines that they're going to want to do to create kind of a habitat offset in that area. So let's talk about costs. The typical engineering costs can be anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000. Environmental studies can be between $3,000 to $15,000. Construction prices are going to be six figures. So making sure that you document this and really check into it before you make this decision. What does the timeline look like on this? People are told constantly, like, this could take years. It could take years, depending on how difficult the land is and how many permits you need pulled. That definitely could be true. So if you are on the fast track process on this, 6 months, you could possibly get that done if you're in that fast track lane. Typical would be between 6 and 12 months. And that's, again, if you're lucky that nothing comes up along the way. So why do the permits sometimes get denied? So a lot of the time these permits will get denied because you've got, first off, neighbors that will not approve that or are against it. You have non-conforming regulations on that shoreline there. The water depth might be inadequate, or you've got sensitive habitat areas. Horsehead Bay is another great area. This is kind of more of like an elite area to live. People love it because the waters are sheltered. The thing to keep in mind here is the depth of water because of tide. So Horsehead Bay, when you're looking at a map, is not located walking distance to downtown Gig Harbor. So many people love this because it is offset. It's a quieter neighborhood. The thing to look about in that area, though, is although many of those homes have a dock, some of them are older and they're going to need to be redone. Now, just because they have a dock does not mean that it's going to get approved to have a dock again. So a property here that works for a 20-foot ski boat may not work for a 40-foot boat. So looking at data of the tide charts is really important as you're looking at a home with a dock in this area. Homes in this area definitely are high demand. They don't come up quite often, and the resale value on this is great. In this area, you'll typically find people that have lived in the community for a very long period of time. Maybe they went to high school here, or they inherited their home for their family. It's a very tight-knit community, fun area at 4th of July time. You'll see everybody out on their docks. They have a huge show. A couple of the neighbors decide to invest heavily into fireworks, so it's a great location to buy if you love the 4th of July. Raft Island. Raft Island's a really great community. It's this small, tiny island, very local. everybody knows each other on there. They have homes with private docks on there. It's definitely a premium cost to live on there. So Raft Island. Raft Island, again, is not walking distance by any means to downtown Gig Harbor. When you look at a map, it's a little bit closer to that Fox Island area. Same feel as Fox Island, but a smaller version of it. The reason that people would love to go here for reasons of a boater, but instead of that closed up sound, you're looking at more ocean area as you go out. So you'll be in the open ocean versus that quiet sound. So things out here, if you've got a larger boat, the depth is typically a lot easier to have those larger boats in. The weather, though, is a little bit more extreme than being down in the harbor. So you definitely get a little bit more wear and tear on your boat in this area. A lot of these homes out here are known for having larger lots. So where you're on Horsehead Bay, you definitely can kind of pass a cup of coffee to your neighbor. Where out on Raft Island, you're going to be a little bit more separated. You're going to have a lot more land. It's a little bit more quiet and treed area. All right, Willotchit Bay is another great area. This area, you'll either have private docks or there's quite a mix of shared docks where two homes will actually invest together on it and pay the cost together. So let me sum up a couple of these areas here. Downtown Gig Harbor definitely gives you that high energy. Horsehead Bay area gives you more of a feeling of prestige. Raft Island is going to give you more of that feeling of privacy, and the Willotchit area is definitely going to give you more of a feeling of protection. Okay, Artondale's another great area. This area varies a little bit more just because of the tide and the weather there. So definitely check out the parcels there and if it's allowed to even have a dock. All right, let's have a pricing reality check. So for those homes that are on with a shared dock, we're looking at probably $1.2 million starting at. For those that have those private docks, we're looking at 1.8 to 4 million and higher for those private docks. And then we want to talk about the permitting costs, insurance here. Replacing the docks, we're looking at those 6 figures. So really important as you're getting into a home with a dock, you realize that home is just not that. The insurance is going to hike up, and then we've got those costs of maintenance. Okay, so some of you are thinking, well, then I will just go live on my boat. I'll have the best, cheapest waterfront property in the area. Things that you don't think about that are a lot of these facilities, they only have a certain amount that they allow for liveaboards. Many of them do an interview process, and then the fees can be quite high. So on there, you of course will be paying the normal moorage fee. They will have utility fees that are a little higher than just those that a few more there. And then there's a lot of rules. We have sound rules. And the thing to keep in mind, this is the Northwest. So the winters are a little drab at times. So living on your boat is not like waking up in Southern California every morning and seeing that bright sun. Sometimes it gets a little bit wet and damp and you're in a confined space. The great part about this, though, is we are a super tight-knit community. So knowing your neighbor that you're right next to is kind of fun. You get to wake up, you have cocktail hour together. A lot of people just love that. So now let me show you, even with all these logistics, why people love Gig Harbor and boating up here. All right, so you have quiet areas, quick runs to get to Tacoma, Seattle, Olympia. A really great area here is Blake Island. So if you just want to have a quick weekend getaway, to me, it's like my glamping version. We'll go out, pack up the kitchen there in the boat, and then stay for the night on Blake Island. Another great getaway here is Vashon Island. You can get off your boat there. You can go to a couple of restaurants, fun shopping community. If you want to get out and just do kind of a quick cruise, I love going to Tacoma. So it's a beautiful view. You're going under the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. You can show up. There's a couple restaurants over there. Also, that's where you can get fuel. So the thing I didn't mention is in Gig Harbor, we do not have a fuel dock. So really important you also put that into play and make sure each time you come into your moorage slip that you have enough fuel to get back to Tacoma. Some of my favorite memories of living here in Gig Harbor is in the summertime heading up to the San Juan Islands. Get a group of you that boat together, join the yacht club. So, is moving to Gig Harbor as a boater worth it? Absolutely. If you research Moorage, you find the right home, you have a budget for it, it is a dream come true. It just needs strategy. So if you're thinking about moving here and you want to find the properties with docks or you're ready to get on a wait list for Moorage, reach out to me. I've lived here for 30 years. I own a boat. I know this area quite well and I can help take you around on a boat. Let's navigate together. If you've enjoyed this video and find it a little bit helpful, please reach out, hit that like button for me so other boaters who are thinking about moving to this area can find the same information. Thanks for watching. Check out in my bio, there's a place there that you can reach out to me personally. I'd love to get you started in looking in Gig Harbor.